Bud, you're not going to believe this now.
You're
I
right.
know it doesn't look like much, but
You're right.
trust me, there are some incredible cars in there. There's a Ford GT, a Cobra, a Scarab.
Look where we are, Dave.
Yeah, I know.
Look where we are. Don't
But,
tell me it's in
hey,
this building.
ease your mind, though. You got some real military guns in there, too.
We're probably gonna need them.
We got all that and a lot more coming up on Griot's Garage Treasure, so stick with us. Did I tell you? Isn't this cool in
I
here?
didn't believe you.
And here's Bill Cotter. Hey, Bill. Welcome. Thank you for letting us come in here with Sam Lamolo. Did I steer you wrong, bud?
No, you didn't, boy. What a great, you'd never know it from the outside. He had me scared.
A little rough on the outside.
You got all kind of neat cars in here. And you've got a 50, what is it, a 55 Bird?
The 55 Bird.
I'm gonna check this thing out, man. Look at this. This is a weird car.
While he's looking at weird cars, let's check this one out.
Right.
I don't know about this car. It's like a 85, 86J body, which is a Buick Regal, you know, an Oldsmobile Cutlass, Pontiac Grand Prix. But you look at the nose, and it's got like a Pontiac nose on it. But back here, you know, it's got the Chevrolet Aero back on it, and then it's got a little wing Pontiac taillights. I have no idea what this is all about.
This is a 1986 2+2 Grand Prix. This was Pontiac's version of Chevy's Aero Coupe, and they needed to homologate this car for NASCAR, so they adjusted the back, they put the Aero Coupe back end on it, small trunk, did some work on the front end. They built the required 1,000, I believe, and then Petty drove, this was the body that he drove in 1986.
Got 118,871 miles on the clock. You know, it helps if you're like an engineer at Ford, and the fellow that owned this, Bill Clausen, was an engineer at Ford. This is something he got right from the factory and made a race car out of it, right?
That's correct. He let his bosses know at Ford that he wanted to take this racing. They had him start the Ford Sports Car Club. And as far as we know, as soon as they made a white car, he got that, and they pulled it off the line. He got a special engine. Any new components went on this car.
Oh, really? So that helps to have those kind of things going for you.
I believe so.
All right, now tell me about this engine here, Bill.
Being in 1955, it has the 292 engine. The 312 engine was a better engine, a little bit more horsepower, a little bit more torque, but we had no reason to change this one out. A lot of the top-end components are from the later 312s. Again, as soon as Ford made a better component, it went on this car. So the heads are probably 312, the manifolds are 312. And he raced this hard from 55 to 62.
And he ran this on the beach at Daytona, right?
He went for the time trials on the beach in Daytona in 1957. According to the plaque on the door from Bill France, it was, I believe, 134 or 137 miles per hour.
Huh. And of course, he kept meticulous records on this too, didn't he?
Yes, being an engineer and with a brand new car, he had the opportunity to correspond with the bosses and was involved in the development of the car. So I have his notes, he kept track of his expenses, oil changes, tires, everything that had to do with this car. And being one of the first ones ordered, and again, as an engineer, he kept these notes. So we have, every time anything was published about a change in this car, he would get that, write a note on it, and it would go into this car.
Boy, it's too bad not many of these cars are documented like that, but Sam's got an interesting one that he's checking out right now. Let's see what he's up to.
This is a really neat car. These cars were built in England. They're real race cars back when they wore open face helmets, short sleeve shirt. And they were a handful to drive. You were exposed like a motorcycle.
1952 J2 Allard. It's got a Cadillac engine, 331. It's a real famous West Coast race car.
They had really weak drum brakes. Most of them had Cadillac engines, and all kinds of big V8s were put in these things, even Hemis. I bet you there's a really interesting story behind this one.
It's known as the number 15. The number 14 car was a black car, similar, which was probably the most prestigious and successful J2 Allard. When that wrecked, this one was put on the track. Vic Edelbrock Sr. engine and components had the best of everything. And it really did well. Primarily the Northwest, but we had a big race out here in the 50s, the Seafair race, and Carroll Shelby came out, Phil Hill came out, and he beat them all in this car.
I'm looking at this program here from the International Formula Libre Grand Prix. This was in Watkins Glen, New York back in 1960. And this is a whole nother era of racing, and this car represents that era as well. This This is called a Scarab.
Lance Reventlow built a number of cars, perhaps 13. This is the last or the second to last car.
And he had hired a couple of guys that did a lot of Indy cars, Troutman and Barnes, to design and build a lot of the different chassis.
It's the only rear-engine open-wheel car he had built. There was hopes that Formula One would allow a bigger displacement in 60, 61. That didn't happen, so this car joined what was known as Formula Intercontinental or Formula Libre. It ran well. Sterling Moss in a different car had a wonderful battle with this in Australia. Post that race, it became a number of different race cars, but we restored it back to original Scarab.
Big Ford sedan for racing, but Ford realized they had to do a little fastback, and a lot of these cars had a certain chassis code people look for. It came with the 406 engine, and of course with some 427s. But this car, it's an automatic car, but it's got factory gauge pack, it's got the tack, and you look under the hood, it does have the FE block. It's a 406, got 3 2-barrels on it, even got electronic ignition. And you got an engine that big with that much carburation, weak spark will always hurt you. So I'll bet you this thing really scoots along, and there's probably some serious story behind this car.
It's a 63.5 Galaxy. Halfway through 1963, Ford determined that to be competitive in NASCAR, they needed to adjust the body. So that is a fastback version, came out halfway through the year. I believe most of them were 427s. There may have been some of the early ones with the 406 tri-powers in it. That one has a 406 tri-power.
Yep, this is a Ford Galaxy 500 XL. We're gonna take a quick break, but don't go away because there's a lot more to see.